Robert Scheinfeld here, and I'd like to give you a very warm and enthusiastic welcome to this website. I created this video here and the free video series that accompanies it in order to have a very frank discussion with you about non-duality, non-dual awareness, and what's really required to take that into what I will call a practical place. If you're already familiar with me and what I call the teachings, you may find it interesting to know that on my journey, I received a lot of value and support from the teachings of non-duality at various points along the road. But I wasn't able to actually experience, with a capital E, those benefits and the truth, with a capital T, of non-duality until I had the breakthrough that I'll be discussing in this video series. Since you found your way here, you must be what I call a seeker of truth, someone who's serious about experiencing what's often called non-dual awareness, enlightenment, spiritual awakening, illumination, mystical consciousness, presence, oneness, and a bunch of other names. These are just some of the most popular and common ones. You've no doubt read lots of books about non-duality, Advaita, and Vedanta. Study the teachings of numerous spiritual teachers, listened to audios, watched videos, attended live events, gatherings, and meetings, participated in satsangs or retreats, on and on and on it goes. But you're still seeking. We'll just use that word. The paths you traveled ended up being dead ends, right? I know this feeling well, and I picked this image. It really cracks me up because it's such a beautiful illustration of what happens. You're going down a road, you're driving, you think you're getting somewhere, and then all of a sudden you realize it's a dead end. And the only choice with a dead end is to turn around, go back the way you came, and go looking for some other road that can take you where you want to go. And that often gets repeated on, let's call it, the quest for truth. I know that feeling really well, as I explained. Or, if it's not a dead end, it can feel like what I call a quicksand pit. Now, what's significant about quicksand? Well, it looks like it's solid. It looks like you can walk over it easily. But you start walking over it, the next thing you know, you're sinking. And the more you struggle to get out of the quicksand pit, the more deeply you dive and fall into it. And ultimately, when you're in a quicksand pit, the only way to get out is for somebody to reach out a hand or reach out a stick, or for somebody to help you pull yourself out of the quicksand pit. I can't tell you how many times on my own journey that's the way it actually felt to me, even if it seems like a somewhat dramatic example. It can drive you crazy. Believe me, again, I know the feeling. The seeking, but ultimately not finding, not what I call experiencing with a capital E, what you really want to experience. Here's the big problem with what happens so often in students, seekers, people interested in non-duality. The non-duality ideas and concepts, it's understood. It makes sense. There's what I call a resonance with it as being a clear expression of the truth with capital T's. But it isn't experienced with a capital E, which means I still feel like a separate individual, even though I know intellectually that I'm not. Other people and the world still feel real and separate from me, even though I understand intellectually that they're not. I still experience stress, judgment, pain, and suffering, even though I know that they're not real, they're just illusions. Many of the teachers don't actually experience non-dual awareness either, even though they teach about it, speak about it, and write about it. They just understand it really well, and they think that that's experience with a capital E. Some teachers do experience it, and they can accurately describe what it's like. Bear with the language here. But they can't tell you how they actually got there, so to speak, because they don't know. It just happened to them. And so therefore, they can't tell you how you can, quote unquote, get there either. Or what they tell you doesn't appear to work for you. That used to really bug me. You know, it would be one thing if everybody around you was struggling to achieve a particular goal, have this experience of non-dual awareness, and nobody was experiencing it. But when you see a bunch of people that appear to be experiencing it, and they either can't tell me how to get there, although they can tell me what it's like, or what they tell me doesn't work, that used to really make me mad, because it's like, all right, enough of this. I want the experience. Show me how to do it. The big why. In general, the why question is ignored or deemed irrelevant by non-dualists. What I mean by that is, why do all the appearances appear as they do? Why do we appear to be physical, to have bodies, to be separate, to be in a world where there are other people and things appear to happen? Why do we judge things as good and bad, right and wrong, and so on? Why do we want things to be different than they are when they're really perfect the way they are, which we understand intellectually? Why can we wake up from the illusion, just to use that language? What's the point and the purpose of it all, what I call the human experience or the human story? To me, the answers to the why questions are important, and much can be gained by looking at them and seeing what's there, even though it's typically ignored in the non-duality literature. Plus, there's what I call the practical piece. Okay, so there's only presence awareness. We'll use that label. Well, then presence awareness is aware of me having money, career, body, health, relationship, or other problems. What am I supposed to do about them? Ignore them? Now, I've put I and me and such in quotes here because we know that within the non-dualist literature, there is no I, there is no me, it's just an illusion. As I'll mention again in a minute, I'm just using these terms for simplicity and convenience sake. You know the truth about all of them. So that's the question. It still comes up. Even if we intellectually know there's no I, there still is, and I'm not driving the bus. You know, it's what am I supposed to do about these problems? You know, I mean, they're in my face. I have to deal with this stuff. This is something that I used to really struggle with too on my journey. Where's the practical benefit of non-duality is a question that can rise for many. What's it really like to live in non-dual awareness through all of life's twists and turns, which includes when there appear to be challenges, when there appear to be problems, when there appears to be a struggle with a particular dynamic? I can help you answer those questions, resolve those issues, and show you the so-called practical benefit. And as you know, when it relates to truth with a capital T, words often fail to accurately describe anything. They can simply point. So bear with my language on all of this. I can open a portal for you, a gateway into non-dual awareness, as the image that you're looking at on your screen, which has become something of a logo for me, depicts visually a portal into another world, so to speak. Now, an important note here, this is only the first video in a series that was designed to tell an important, complete story. In the next videos in the series, I'll show you how you can take non-duality into a practical place, just to use that language as a pointer, and actually have the consistent, let's just call it an experience with a capital E. It isn't really. The truth with capital T's is not an experience, but it's the best word, it's as good a word as any, that you appear to desire in your story.